My name is Avery Taylor, and today I'll be taking you through my Phase 2 All-Star selections. These are going to be voting for the starters. So, Phase 1 narrowed it down to about 2 people for the infield spots and DH, 6 people in the outfield, and today we're going to be picking between those for the All-Star Game starters. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Aaron Judge is already locked into the outfield because he was the leading vote getter in the American League, Shohei Ohtani in the National League at DH. At first base in the American League, it's a crime that Aranda from the Rays is not here, but Vladimir Guerrero Jr. should be the pick there. Not much to say, pretty much every stat across the board is better. Freddie Freeman, Pete Alonso is a good debate, especially if Freddie Freeman had been anywhere near where he was in May, but in June he cooled off quite a bit and it led the way for Pete Alonso. Second base side on the National League, I would have much rather this been Brendan Donovan, but we're here with Ketel Marte versus Tommy Edman. Tommy Edman's having a decent year. He started off really hot, but Ketel Marte has to take that. On the American League side of things, we have Gleyber Torres versus Jackson Holliday. Again, how Brandon Lau isn't here, I don't know. Gleyber Torres is going to be the pick between those two. This should be not as interesting as it might be because Alex Bregman actually hasn't played a game in like over a month, but his counting stats and OPS suggest he should be very much in this race. But Jose Ramirez, just simply off the fact Alex Bregman hasn't played recently, should probably be the selection. In the National League, things get really interesting here because Manny Machado has been doing it all year. He's just been rock solid pretty much all season long. But Max Muncy has been on an absolute tear as of late. And if I'm thinking about who's going to be better in maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I think it has to be Max Muncy. At shortstop in the National League, it's it's an interesting one because both Mookie Betts and Francisco Lindor have been struggling mightily. I'm going to give it to the Lindor. He has better counting stats, better OPS, and plays pretty sick defense, but I don't know. These aren't the greatest cream of the crop that you could have came up with. You came out with Trey Turner, CJ Abrams. There's a ton of picks that you could have went with Elly De La Cruz. Any of them I think could have been a better selection, but here we are. Francisco Lindor is our spot. Jacob Wilson versus Bobby Witt Jr. I'm going to pick Jacob Wilson. He's just really fun, a really fun rookie that's having a great year. He is cooling off a bit, especially in the average department, but he's really just a fun player to follow. Cal Raleigh, don't need to talk about that one. On the National League side of things, Carson Kelly being in here and Will Smith. This is one of the few Dodgers, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I think the Dodgers got people at every single position, but this is the one they're definitely deserving of. In the outfield in the National League, it's interesting because if you don't look at how many games Acuna's played, he should be in there. He's been having a great year ever since he returned from injury, but I just need to see him play a few more games, so I'm going to count him out. Teoscar Hernandez is out, so it's really down between these 4. I think these 2 have to be locks, especially with how Juan Soto has been playing as of late. He's really shrugged off those early season jitters and been just on fire recently. Kyle Tucker doing his thing, even in Chicago where it's tough to hit homers. He is just absolutely mashing still. And then you have Pete Crow Armstrong versus Andy Pages. Andy Pages is having a great year. He's really turned his season around since about mid-April. But Pete Crow Armstrong's been doing it all year. He plays an elite center field. He is just doing everything, and he's done it more consistently over the course of the whole year. But Andy Pages has absolutely turned his season around massively. And then American League side, it's an interesting one because I think Riley Green's the lock out of the 2 spots you have left. And then they're all interesting story. Javi Baez having his turnaround year. Mike Trout, still Mike Trout. He's missed some games. He's had his struggles, but he still has 13 homers, 31 RBIs, a 788 OPS. And then you have Stephen Kwan, who I think would probably be the least popular one here. Everyone recognizes Javi Baez, Mike Trout. Stephen Kwan, people know him, but I don't think people appreciate his game. I know his counting stats that they put on here aren't the greatest, but I'm going to give it to Stephen Kwan. He isn't the storyline, but I think he is the most complete player this season. And then at DH, you have Ryan O'Hearn versus Ben Rice. Now, Ben Rice has been doing pretty well, especially for just being his second year in the league. Ryan O'Hearn has been the shock, I think, of the Baltimore Orioles. I don't think you came in the year and expected him to be their best hitter for over the course of the whole season, but so far it's Ryan O'Hearn. They're definitely going to have to cash in at the deadline, and I think Ryan O'Hearn has to be the selection at DH in the American League. And that's going to be my final all-star vote for this year. I'm going to probably churn these ballots over the same every single day, and I hope you guys do as well. Hope you guys leave your comments down below about who you think is going to make the All-Star game. Who's your picks as the All-Star game starters? Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys for watching, and have a wonderful day.